Fresh out the box.
Hey there everybody, welcome to a special episode of Fresh Out the Box. Today we look at Upriver, Downriver from indie company MacGuffin and Company. I am Johananon.
I'm Casualty CDG. Jahan, what's Upriver, Downriver?
Well, I'm so glad that you asked. So Upriver, Downriver, I'm going to read what they say to expect from this, because we haven't read the book. You're going to see everything we think live, that kind of thing. But Upriver, Downriver is coming to Kickstarter on the 26th of October. In Upriver, Downriver, you play as a crew of sailors embarking on a magical journey up or down the Great River. As a crew, you swear an oath that binds you, even in death, to your ship and your destination. To reach either the magical source of the river, from which it is said all magic springs, or the sea, from which no sailor has ever returned. It is a tarot-inspired, pastoral fantasy tabletop role-playing game about sailing a ship on a magical river. It's built for short-term, limited campaigns with a definite endpoint. It's written by Ella Watts, with illustrations from art director Max Breyer, Cale Leons, and Geo Barnett. It's
when I first started playing tabletop games, I would have told you I'm more interested in like a long-term campaign. But nowadays, I like the idea of being able to jump into these games, do a decent-sized, 10-episode, 15-episode campaign, and then get out and get onto a different system. And with this kind of being designed this way, it's already a draw for me. That's pretty cool.
Yes, I do not disagree. The last bit here that I'm going to read. It's co-developed by tabletop games publisher MacGuffin and Company off the back of their hugely successful Kickstarter for Odd Jobs, an anthology of games and micro settings, which in and of itself sounds like something we missed out on. That sounds cool. So yeah, that is what they have. The press part of it. That's what they describe it as. I'm excited to dig in.
Well, now I want to know what Odd Jobs is.
I do too. Well, we'll have to talk about. Maybe we'll look at it at the end of the stream or something. Stick around.
Yeah, maybe we'll do another video for Odd Jobs.
Yeah, who knows? We will play every game. Goddammit, every game.
There's a reason they make games, and it's for people like us. We're the same way on Game Pass. We play everything all the time, and then we get in front of tabletop games and we play everything all the time.
That's what we do. Yeah, we like to play games. So it looks like this is a 64-page quick start, which is hefty for a quick start.
Yeah, some run at like 12 pages.
Yeah, some are very short.
I do like that this one is a clickable PDF. You can go through chapter to chapter. Not every PDF is that way, and they should be.
Yes, I personally don't know how to do it. Like, I don't know what goes into that, so I don't know what kind of work is involved with it. But yeah, it is nice when companies do that. Yeah, so all your life you've lived on the Great River. It is the source from which all life and magic flows. Storms climb and fall down the riverbanks, and precious metals are buried in the silt. Fish swim in abundance near the roaring tide, and rice grows thick and luscious by the banks of the Gloss Road. The river is all you've ever known, one mighty silver serpent which winds down from the mountains and travels inexorably toward the sea. No one has ever found the source of the river, from which it is said that all magic springs. No one has ever come back after crossing the horizon of the sea, probably because the earth is flat. Together your crew will swear an extraordinary oath to set sail and reach either the source or the sea. Your journey will not be an easy one, but very few journeys worth taking ever are. So that's just the little excerpt. That gives you a lot about the world. I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
The part about finding precious metals in the silt was pretty cool.
I already feel like in my version of this world, the closer you got to the mountain, the more forest there would be, the more magic there would be, the more elves there would be,
yeah.
And like magical protectors and stuff to keep people from wandering towards the great sources. So like, just that introduction already starts to build a world for me. It's well done.
It's a good intro.
Bravo.
So,
and I can read the introduction under the introduction. I call this introduction upon death. Welcome to the Quick Start Guide for Upriver, Downriver. In this guide, you'll find a stripped-down version of the full game. You should be able to use it to run a short campaign. However, there are a few elements that you will only be able to access in the full manual, such as expanded ship rules and types, further rules for magic use, more NPCs, and further details on locations, the full list of ghost abilities, and the full rules for character creation and leveling up. Upriver Downriver is both a setting and a system. To use the system, you'll need D4s, D8s, and D12s, as well as a set of major arcana from a tarot deck. Finally, to play this game, make sure to use your preferred safety tools. And that's our lines and veils that we use on our show. I like that they included this in their intro.
Almost every game we play nowadays includes it. So I don't know, the TTRPG community has just been making huge strides towards inclusion. And it's good.
There are 7 pre-rolled characters to choose from in this guide. We recommend playing with a crew of 3 to 4 players and 1 Game Master. The Game Master plays the role of the Great River, adjudicating its magic and guiding the player's journey.
I get to be a river?
I believe so.
Like the dragon from Spirited Away?
Actually, that was in the very, very top in the beginning on the last page. Was Spirited Away was one of their inspirations.
Oh, nice. I didn't see that.
Before beginning their travels, every crew who journeys on the river swears an oath to reach their destination. This is both a contract which binds them to their fellow crew members, promising they'll do everything within their power to keep one another alive and achieve their goal, and a promise to the Great River and its many faces, a vow of commitment to their voyage, and a prayer for safe waters. Your crew will swear an extraordinary oath of their own to achieve the impossible, and journey to reach either the mythical source of the Great River, or to pass over the sea from which no travelers have ever returned. Your oath will bind you each to each other and your ship until your goal is achieved. Even in death, your spirit will be magically tied to this realm until you reach your destination. At which point, unless you annul your oath or somehow reverse your death, you will pass on to the great tides of the other world. So, where are you going? Yo! All of a sudden the ghost abilities sound like they're actual ghost abilities.
Where do you see ghost abilities?
That was something we read in the introduction. It said the full list of ghost abilities will be in the main version.
Okay.
So now it seems like if your character dies, you stay
are ghost bound to the ship
with ghost abilities.
That's
correct.
Kind of dope.
Yes, sir.
So whether or not, like, regardless of execution, we don't know yet. That is in and of itself a genius idea that I haven't seen done in that way.
Yeah. You almost reward player death in sort of a way by giving them a new class.
Yeah, essentially.
The ghost class. Yeah, that's pretty dope.
What
Every tabletop game is always, I want to do a thing, I roll a die, a number comes up, and then I ask the game master if I do the thing. So being able to put a nice little spin or a new flavor on it is always something nice to see, and playing dead seems like fun. Let's read more before I promise that that's even what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's really cool. I want to see these ghost powers. All right, so an oath to reach the source is a vow made to be made by players looking for adventure. Stories full of magic and secret, pirates and treasure, monsters and challenges of the natural world, whitewater rapids, waterfalls, canyons, and mountains. In a journey to the source, players will have to venture upriver, along the great long stretch of the Gloss Road, into the mountains, and then underground through the labyrinth of crystal nets, in search of the spring from which the river and all its magic flows. Players might seek the source to find knowledge beyond all imagining, to access magic and power, to win riches beyond their wildest dreams, to do the impossible, or to prove themselves, or to solve the mystery of the dwarves. An oath to reach the sea is a vow to be made by players looking for freedom. Stories rich with politics, revolution, and intrigue. Escape and redemption, war and peace, thieves and illusionists, soldiers and fugitives, reparation and healing. In a journey to the sea, players will have to venture downriver to the Imperial Arr, I don't know. Evading the river police and risking the treacherous green paths of the forest in order to reach the Silver Pits, Port Town, or the Seven Sisters, and beyond them the sea, from which no voyager has ever returned. Players might seek the sea to find freedom from their enemies and their past, to seek a better world beyond the horizon, to reinvent themselves, to do the impossible, to seek redemption, or simply to explore a new world. That's dope.
Which one would you do?
Yeah, so you said that Upriver was magic and stuff, and I was like, Downriver must be human interaction, and my suspicion was correct. That sounds fun. I don't know. From just a pure inspiration standpoint of what like is popping into my head right now, the to the sea path gives me more.
I think it would be cool to play as people from very near the source going to the sea. People with high magic and an awesome ship and lots of cool things running into pirates and kind of regular slum towns and horrible bad situations. But the people leaving the source would have been, banished. They're not leaving of their own free will. So they're just kind of going to this horrible, dangerous world that just seems to be getting more and more horrible and dangerous as they go.
This next part's interesting. You want to read it?
Yeah. A story that ends. During your journey with Upriver Downriver, you'll visit several places. Once your oath is sworn in your first session, your ship and your crew cannot linger in any location for more than 72 hours, which in games is about 3 to 4 sessions. You cannot go backwards. You cannot revisit a location you've left behind. Your oath binds you to keep moving forward. When you reach your goal, your campaign is over. Any dead characters pass on, unless their oath is broken or their death is reversed. You're welcome to wonder with your character what they might do once they've achieved their goal, or what it is they'll find if they continue their travels. But the story's over. One campaign of Upriver Downriver can last between 4 and 12 3 to 4 hour sessions of gameplay, as well as the Session Zero. Players and game masters are encouraged to roleplay with this in mind. The brevity of the game means that the characters can perform huge, sweeping actions that have major effects on the world, and the world can begin to go through immense transformations and change. We think that the stories are better because they end. Don't be afraid to embrace that sense of finality. Your time on the river is brief. That doesn't mean that it's unimportant. That's kind of what I was saying earlier. I like these campaigns that have an end. So many D&D groups fall apart because of scheduling, and there's never a real resolution in the group. There's never a close. But I think if you could convince people to just sign up for 10 weeks or 15 weeks, people could have games that close. Not every game needs to go on for 6 or 12 or 20 years.
Correct.
Some games can, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But running these shorter campaigns, I think, is becoming. I think it's becoming more common. Maybe
well,
I'm
I
wrong.
mean, it's just as gaming becomes more mainstream, it's just it fits into people's lives better. It's more convenient.
It's more. I think it's a cooler way to see more games. Also, I don't feel like I just have to. Yeah, I'm not putting all my eggs in just like a video game. I don't want to play one video game for the next 20 years. I'd like to play a couple every year and see what they're all about.
Sometimes I do miss Dungeons and Dragons. It's been a while, but being able to play all these games has been really great, man. I want to play
Pathfinder 2nd Edition so bad.
I know you do.
I have it. You have it. Did you see what happened today on the Paizo accountability front?
No.
They recognized the union, the Paizo Workers Union. So
nice.
now, so good things are happening. So
They're in
hooray
Austin,
for Paizo! Right? No, they're in Redmond, Washington.
Huh. I thought they had an office in Austin.
They might have an office there, but their headquarters is like right down the street from Wizards.
Man, Paizo. But yeah, so I don't disagree.
Good things.
Good things.
Sure. The game at a glance. The defining feature of each player character in Upriver Downriver is the role as part of their ship's crew. Your character's role determines their job on the ship, but also says something fundamental about their character. Within the role, you'll choose a path for your character corresponding to a card of the major arcana. This denotes the moral framework and the values you've chosen. Regardless of their role and path, all characters have 3 core stats. Swords, for all physical challenges. Spirits, for all knowledge and magic. And tongues, for wisdom, instinct, and charisma, baby. You knew I had to do it. Most of the time, when you want to do something with your character, you might succeed or fail out, you'll be asked to pass a difficulty check, often referred to simply as a stat check, by rolling a d12 and adding a relevant stat. d12 plus swords, or spirits, or tongues.
It's pretty simple. Let's see.
If your total is equal to or above the target number, you succeed at what you're attempting to do. What'd you roll, Jahan?
10.
Cool. The average check is an 8. So after you add your swords, spirits, or tongues, chances are you passed a difficult check, which is a 12. Very difficult being a 16.
Interesting numbers.
I'm a big fan of the D4, personally. The D12 also does not get enough love.
The D12 gets the least love.
So there's something going on with this game, and I am mad at it.
I actually have another game that is a D12 system called, I forget, Black Void.
I've gone on the record many times to tell you that I hate systems with custom dice that have their own die, because I think there's no fucking reason. We already all have enough die. We don't need your stupid fucking die. But I do like games like this that use the die that we have that we don't usually get to use. We already have these in our boxes at home, right? We've been collecting them for so long, but unless you play a barbarian, you're not swinging a D12 anywhere, anytime.
No.
The same thing I liked about Savage Worlds. I like again about this. Next up is Traveling the River.
Yeah, and this layout of the book is just like they just finished this, and I like that it's not done yet, and they haven't added a lot of the art that they want, but they have all these words lined up in the style of a river. I think that's a really nice touch. All great journeys on the river start at Meadowbrook, the safe, welcoming village that sits at the midpoint between the source and the sea.
Well, so much for me wanting to start at the top of the river.
I'm
out. I quit. This game's unplayable, Jahan.
Between Meadowbrook and your destination, you'll visit 4 other locations. What you do there will make up the bulk of your sessions. Communing with the river. At the end of your stay at each location, you can choose to commune with the river. Communing with the river will look a little different for each character, but it always offers the chance to connect with the great god of the river and its many faces. Whenever you choose to commune with the river, describe what your character's prayer or ritual looks like. The GM will draw a single card from the major arcana, which is tarot, revealing a blessing or curse that the river bestows upon you. Blessings are gifts from the river and offer a mechanical bonus or narrative power. Curses are lessons the river asks you to learn and imposes a mechanical or narrative impediment until your character has grown in some way. Cool. Mechanical character growth. I'm all for it. Traveling the river. As well as settlements, the river contains many threats. When you're ready to move on from one location, you'll need to attempt to navigate safely to your next intended harbor. Together, your character will elect one player to act as the helm. When navigating to a new location, the helm declares which location they're trying to reach, then rolls a number of d4s equal to the crew's river sense, plus any additional bonuses they might have. If one or more of the dice show 4, the crew reaches the destination safely. If no 4s are rolled, the ship is swept to one of the 3 other nearest locations. Sorry. Yeah, determined by the GM. That's it. Then combat. Wow, we got the combat quick. It's interesting that they tell you how this stuff works before character creation.
In character creation, too, I was just glancing down at it, and I definitely see some characters that have pointed ears that might be elven, but I actually don't see like a race selection, so maybe this is just up to it's up to us.
Makes
to find
sense.
out. It does.
Makes
and
sense.
maybe I just didn't see it yet, you know.
Rolls during combat, whether physical or magical, work slightly different to standard difficulty checks. Instead of a d12 and hoping to reach a target number, you'll make an opposed roll against your foe. You'll find more expansive rules in the full version of the game, but for the purposes of the quick start, you and your opponent, in most cases played by the GM, will each roll 2d8 and add their stat bonuses. Whoever rolls the highest total has successfully landed a hit and does damage to their opponent's health equal to their total, minus the defender's physical defense or spiritual defense. If you and your foe tie, then you're caught in a deadlock, and it's up to your GM what happens next. Perhaps there's a deciding factor, a tie-break challenge, or your fight is interrupted by a storm, monster, or reinforcements. And then finally, death. As final as it gets. Death in this game is not an end to a character's journey, and is not to be feared. Players can die easily, but as ghosts, they enjoy new ghost-specific abilities and insight. Death brings with it restrictions as well as abilities, though. The ghosts cannot set foot on land or helm the ship. When they reach their destination, if a ghost's oath remains unbroken, they will pass on to whatever awaits in the next realm. If their oath is broken, they might remain as a ghost, now free to wander despite these changes. A player can continue on their journey as before, if somewhat immaterially. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So it looks like... Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to start on the next rolls you have. If you want to talk about the death and the mechanics here, I won't rush you.
Oh, no, we already read the whole thing, right?
Yeah, we read it. I just didn't know if you had any insight on it.
Well, I mean, so... It's cool. It's nice that you have an option. I guess it's not intended that you come in with a new character, which is fine. I think it's cool, especially if you were the one helming up until this point, that you're forced out of there.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they have a reason for it, but just because of Sea of Thieves with the undead ferryman, and the undead ferryman's a thing, right? It's not invented in Sea of Thieves. It's an old legend. A ghost can drive a ship.
I mean, yeah, but I think it's just kind of a way of changing stuff. You know?
I do like that you can't walk on land. You know, that's very classic.
It makes sense to me that you can't helm the ship, because, I mean, when it comes to those kinds of things, it's kind of whatever the world decides.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sure there's either lore.
If there's lore that backs it up, that's fine. But just with the classic ferryman in my head, and of course Davy Jones, and come on, man, where's our? I want my undead captain, right?
It reminds me of the game Spiritfarer, where a living girl has to ferry the spirits across the river. And
maybe it's exactly why they don't want people whose intention is to just go out there and be undead pirates.
Maybe it's a stop. Maybe it's a roadblock intended to stop a certain play style.
Next is the roles, the different classes, I guess, so to say. There are 7 roles in the game. The captain, the first mate, the gunner, the doctor, the engineer, the cook, and the priest. All right?
The cook, the engineer, and the priest walk into a bar, right?
All right. What does the bartender say to him?
Hey, what are you doing here? I don't know. I got nothing.
Your role reflects both something fundamental about who your character is as a person, and more literally, what they're expected to do on your ship. For example, an engineer might always be good with engines, and might consider their skill as an engineer to be a fundamental part of who they are. But if the engine breaks down during a ship battle, they'll be expected to roll over and repair it. And they'll get special advantages of doing that over other crew members because they're the engineer. That's pretty straightforward stuff. Within each of the 7 roles, there are 3 paths. A character's path denotes the code they have chosen to follow and the values that they hold dear. In the world of Upriver, Downriver, paths are thought of as the faces of the river, represented by one of the major arcana. With each path come special abilities, but also commandments. A captain, the hangman, for example, cannot retrace their steps. Each role can also fill a number of duties in the occasion of a ship battle. These are rare, however, and the most significant question for each party should simply be who they wish to helm the ship. At the end of each session, the helm rolls to navigate the party to a new location. Many roles and paths offer bonuses to these roles.
Abilities.
Just that whole what I read there was interesting. That last about the helm.
Yeah.
That's cool. Whoever's manning the helm rolls where you're going to go next time, right at the end of the session, I think.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. It's like it builds in the cliffhanger that we love so much.
It does. No, this sounds fun.
Abilities are up next. Abilities reflect the powers and skills each character has at their disposal, the ways that they can affect the world. Whenever a character interacts with the world of Upriver, Downriver in a way that they might fail, a player should roll a d12 as described in the Game at a Glance section on page 8. Generally speaking, more difficult actions should be rewarded with a more powerful effect. If a player doesn't make the target number that the character has failed at what they were attempting, they must find a new way to meet the goal or face consequences, depending on the circumstances within your game. Each character has several abilities on their character sheet, which reflect the types of actions they're most skilled at, and the things they're most comfortable with using. If you want to attempt a challenge and your character doesn't have the relevant ability, you can still act, but you'll roll with disadvantage, rolling twice and taking the lower result. Each of the abilities falls into one of the 4 categories, which determines which stat you will add to your roll. Players can always make a case for why they think one stat might be more relevant than another in a certain situation, and the Game Master should rule on what they feel makes sense for the character and the situation. The abilities in this game are deliberately vague. They intend to inspire improvisation rather than restrict your roleplay. And it looks like the 4 main abilities are going to be medicine, combat, community, and magic.
Interesting that medicine is its own. But I guess that, it doesn't really fit into the other ones, so.
And they put a few things under medicine here, and most of the things they put in there are just one thing.
Oh, hey, here we go.
Like, you see it on the next page, right?
Yeah.
On page 12. So medicine covers first aid, minor surgery, major surgery, create medicine, create poison, veterinary science, and heal monsters. So in my mind,
why you would want to do that? That sounds interesting.
Well, in my mind, heal monsters and veterinary science aren't so far from each other, right? And then create medicine, create poison. Those are buddies. And then surgery could have, I think, just been one.
Maybe.
But yeah, medicine, it's got everything you'd expect it to have.
I think these are just examples, though, huh?
Yeah, like they said, these aren't limiting at all. These are just examples. The whole thing is it's an open system to help you, improv your way through.
Interesting. Very interesting. Oh, it looks like we have some character sheets coming up here.
Next to medicine, you have combat. Combat includes things like climbing, swimming, stealth, brawl, swordplay, archery, and improvised weapons. Then magic lists things like create comfort, inspire fear, bewilder, shapeshift, make invisible, breathe water, and erase memory. And finally, community is art, culture, history, religion, deceit, charm, and leadership.
I wonder what, brain stuff would fall under.
What do you mean brain stuff, Jahan? I'd love to...
engineering, because that is a thing.
They did say engineering was a thing, and it's one of the classes.
It's one of the classes, so I wonder...
Let's scroll down to the engineering thing.
What skill? Yeah, let's go see what their highest skill is.
It looks like they've gone with swords and spirits for the engineer.
Okay.
For engineer's role. So down at the bottom there, it looks like they have their own thing that the engineer does.
Maybe only the engineer can engineer.
Let's see. Once per ship battle, roll the d12, plus either swords or spirits to spot a potential weak spot in your ship. On an average success of an 8+, give the ship additional temporary defenses equal to your swords or spirits modifier, depending on what you roll. The defenses will last until the end of the battle. So that's what the engineer can do. So you're looking at either swords or spirits to be your main one for that ability.
It's interesting. It looks like you also follow a tarot path.
So it said those tarot paths, it said there are 3, right?
It looks like there's more than that. I see the Path of Justice, the Moon, the Lovers, Judgment, Death, the Hermit, the Tower. It sounds like they might do all the tarot cards. Well, probably not all of them. I don't think the Path of the Devil will be a thing, but maybe. Who knows? The Path of the 5 Swords and the, I don't know if you know anything about tarot.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit to me too.
So after those character sheets, I think we can come back to those once we know a bit more about what we're doing.
Yes.
But if you browse through them, it says dwarves, riverfolk, halfling humans, and elves.
Oh, where's that at?
Right in the center of the character sheet. In kind of a bold text, it says, "You are human."
You are a dwarf. You gain 1 additional communion, meaning you have a total of 4. Interesting.
Page 20 brings us to Death and Ghosts, which this was the one already that got my ear, right? When we started talking about this game, was the ghosts kind of made me perk up. What are you doing with ghosts? Let's see what they're doing with ghosts.
Yeah, if a player dies whilst their oath is active, they immediately become a ghost. If that player's oath was annulled or not yet sworn when they died, their character dies permanently. For this reason, among others, it is important that the crew members swear their oath as soon as possible in the first session of the campaign, and that the decision to annul an oath is taken with great care. When a player transitions from life to death, they are subject to an immediate free communion with the river as their soul crosses through the water. At the end of the session, they give the relevant blessing or curse. Upon death, the character will also gain ghost abilities.
Dang.
Ghosts cannot helm the ship, but they can perform all other moves and ship orders as usual. Ghosts also cannot set foot on land, but they can move on to other ships. That's kind of scary when you think about it. Ghosts are not an ordinary sight on the river, and whilst those with magic or religious training might be unperturbed, most people, and especially citizens of the human empire, will react to ghosts with shock, confusion, and fear.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's fair. A ghost cannot be killed, but they can be destroyed. Though ghosts are invulnerable to physical attacks, they can be harmed by magic. If a ghost's health hits 0, their soul is destroyed and the character dies permanently.
Man, so I've been insulted before, and it felt like my fucking soul was destroyed and I died permanently. So I think I'm feeling it. I get it.
Get it? No.
Over on the left here, there are 2 little paragraphs, one called Consult the Ancestors and one called Fly.
Yeah, there's another ability on the next page that's really badass. Consult Ancestors. You're on the other side of the veil that separates life and death, and you are not alone. That's kind of scary. If you want to seek the wisdom of your ancestors, explain whether you are using your intelligence and the knowledge you've accumulated over the years, or whether you're using your insight into the cultures and traditions of the river. Roll spirits for intelligence and tongues for insight. On a difficult success, a spirit of your choosing will appear and answer 4 questions. Fly, you are no longer constrained by your mortal body. If you want to make Fly make a sword roll, on average, you briefly You are briefly able to fly. On difficult success, you can fly wherever you wish for a day in game time. While flying, you're still tied to the river and cannot depart to land.
Just remember that a regular, an average check is an 8, a difficult is a 12. Very difficult is going to be a 16.
Possess a beast. You understand that all life on the river is equal, and in its experience of life, death, and the cycle of nature which feeds you all. Roll with either your tongues or spirits to possess a beast. On a difficult success, you may inhabit the mind of a creature and control it for a short duration. The effect ends if you cause the creature to come to harm. The ability does not work on monsters and other supernatural beings.
Damn.
It's interesting. If the ghost reaches their destination and has not annulled their oath, their soul passes onto the other side of the Great River. If every player becomes a ghost, then the campaign ends and their ship is lost forever, doomed to wander eternally as a ghost ship unable to fulfill the oaths they swore. Death has its own secrets. When you die, you gain new insight into the world around you and the nature of life and death. Your understanding of magic and the river itself deepens, and you find yourself in possession of strange new abilities that were not accessible to you in the mortal world. These new abilities are likely things you've never encountered, or else rare, forgotten secrets that you believe to be a myth. Upon death, choose one of Consult the Ancestors, Fly, or Possess Beast, and immediately add it to your sheet.
Which one would you immediately add to your sheet?
Either the first one or the last one.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I'd probably take Fly.
It's fair. Fly's cool, but the other two are cooler.
I just think it would be cool to fly around other ships and torment them as an undead ghost pirate.
Fair. I don't know if that's what you're wanting to do. I don't know if that's your job.
I mean, at that point, you can't drive anymore, so that's
might as well go fuck with other sailors.
That's exactly right. Your new job's keeping us safe. Go over there and spook those guys out. Death and ghosts. Next, schooner. Sailing the river? Ships. Yes.
Yes.
Ships. There is only one ship listed right now.
Yes.
They said in the introduction there would be more ghost powers and more ships coming in the full version. So that's why we're only looking at 3 ghost powers and 1 ship right now.
Hey, it's
so
enough to play the game.
You should come back to Kickstarter. That's what you should do.
Yeah, come check out the Kickstarter, guys. Oh yeah, I put it in the chat.
Oh, no dip.
Go ahead and check that out. Link in the chat.
Link!
It is Upriver, Downriver on Kickstarter.
Now that you
It'll
have
be
your
there
characters...
in 4 days as of this filming.
4 days. So it's going to come out October 26th of 2021?
Yes.
Okay. That's good. Good things.
For until November 26th, I believe.
Okay. That's a good time to run.
It's not a bad time to run, no.
Now that you have your characters, there's one more thing you need to do to become a crew. You gotta get a ship, baby! In the full version of Upriver, Downriver, you'll find a variety of ships to choose from. But in this quick start guide, your ship is a schooner. A reliable sailing ship that combines speed and strength. Your ship has 3 key attributes: attack, defense, and health. They can all be augmented with upgrades and enchantments at various locations of the river, and the Game Master should provide opportunities for this throughout the journey, which, you already do with us with the Expanse. The ship's a character too, so it's got to upgrade, right? It's got to level up. A ship's attack shows how much damage she can cause to other ships during combat. A ship's defense shows how well she can avoid or absorb an attack. And a ship's health shows how much damage she can weather while remaining operational and afloat. I won't bore you with reading you the schooner stats, but there they are.
It does stuff.
Uh-huh.
Navigating. We already more or less went over navigating, though.
Yeah, so the thing is, you roll a die, and the die takes you roll at the end of the session, right? And it takes you to the next board.
That's not what this is.
This is a different one.
Yeah, this is when you make when you're trying to go from one place to another, you roll a number of d4s equal to your crew's total river sense. And if you get a 4, you get there successfully. Otherwise, you go somewhere else.
Oh, shoot, that's what's up. Oh, that's great.
Hey,
but there are
D4s, man.
There are things here to help you roll the location, right? I guess we breezed through some of the character stuff, but like the captain, I think, and the first mate can probably do things to make sure they roll to their destination.
Yeah, it probably helps.
I went up and looked. It looks like they have things that go for ship combat, particularly.
Yeah, ship battles is the next thing.
Ah, speak of the devil. You'll find all the full rules for ship battles in the complete version of Upriver, Downriver. Here, we've included a simplified overview to help provide a taste of the full rules and keep things moving, should your crew find themselves confronted with an enemy ship. During a ship battle, each player has the choice of attempting an individual move, like firing on the enemy or providing medicinal aid to a crewmate, or taking part in the group ship order, like escaping the battle or boarding the enemy ship. Ship orders will always need to include whichever player is the current helm and at least 2 other crew members. To determine the order, each player rolls a d12 and adds their sword stat. Enemy ships and monsters roll a d12 plus 2. Play proceeds in the order from highest to lowest roll, and repeats once everyone has had a turn. Each repeating cycle is called a round. Hey. The battle lasts for as long as both ships or entities are intact, or until your escape. During your turn, state whether you'd like to take a move, or hold and take part in the ship order. All of these basic moves and ship orders, your character will have their own unique move, and your ship has its own unique ship order. If a ship's health falls to half its maximum value, it's becalmed, meaning it can't move and the defenses are halved. While the ship is becalmed, enemy attacks always do full damage, and strike half damage at random players on each hit, until the ship's health and defenses are repaired. A ship can also become becalmed if the current helm is killed, and will remain so until someone else takes control of the helm on the next turn of battle. The moves you can take, your actions, so to speak, are man the cannon, repair the ship, raise the jib, help the crew, and helm the ship. And each one of those has a breakdown underneath. It looks like the ship orders are escape, take evasive maneuvers, gain advantageous position, and board the enemy ship.
Nice.
Reading this reminds me of all of like the Twitter posts and the Reddit posts, all the DIY tabletop game tables where people make like a big ocean and they're planning an ocean battle for their D&D campaign. I wonder if your entire campaign takes place on the ocean, or if there's other things you want to do. You want to play other water games. Here's a great one. Here's another great water game you could play. You've already got your boat minis. You already have your screens down. You're already ready to go.
Well, the boat journey is very popular. Especially, it seems like it's getting more and more. I mean, boats are a great, vehicle for, stories to take place. It's a great, it takes you where you want to go. It has a life of its own, and it keeps all the people together. Boats are great. Yeah, I mean, Wild Sea, Wild Sea is a great one. This is a fun one. Also, like Ghosts of Saltmarsh was the Dungeons and Dragons book that really I bought. So I don't buy a lot of setting books for D&D. That one I bought because of the boat rules that it came with. It had a bunch of extra boat rules. It had a bunch of water-specific monsters. My players really threw me for a loop in that game because instead of playing where I sent them, they went straight west into the ocean and just never looked back. And I was like, okay, well,
thanks, guys.
But it's people like it. People enjoy the high seas.
Yeah, I've always wanted to play around in the high seas. One of the problems I've had as a game master and as a player in those games is the boat mechanics, keeping the boats moving in the fights is strange, keeping them moving relative to each other. Real boat battles are awkward and taxing, and they take hours because positioning is awful. So how much of that do you really want to reflect in your game's naval combat system, right?
Yeah.
So I had a hard time with that game mastering, but it seems like they've streamlined it here.
I have trouble with it when we play The Expanse. It's equally difficult in space, but I've gotten better at it. It takes practice. It's weird. Hey, thanks for the follow, Grim Knight.
Yes, thank you.
Also a cool name.
Where communicating with the river? Are we going to read do you want to read the ship battle rules, how they actually break down?
No. I don't think we have to. It's one page. You're rolling d12s, you're doing damage. It sounds like it's the same as the other combat, more or less.
Yeah, so your ship is becalmed, and then after it gets becalmed, then it can capsize, and that's bad. You don't want to capsize.
Yeah, when it reaches 0, it sinks. That makes sense. Players have 72 hours to either recover and repair their ship or annul their oaths. Otherwise, their oaths will kill them, drowning them with their ship, even if they are standing on land. If every player dies, their ship is lost and becomes a ghost ship doomed to forever wander on the ever-changing tide.
Well, now that part just seems like fun.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I liked it.
I want to get drowned to death on land minding my own business because I broke my vow.
Because I broke my promise to my boat? Yeah, absolutely. It's fucking dope. Yeah.
Next up is the Communing with the River on page 26.
Before the crew moves on from a location, players have the option to commune with the river. We recommend performing communions at the end of a session, as the results are often dramatic and some GMs may want time to prepare before they come into play. Some communions will also have a substantial impact on navigation rolls. Most players have 3 chances to commune with the river, which they can use across the game. They should choose to do so at moments of plot significance or times of emotional weight for their character. Communions are a finite resource. Once you've spent one, you've lost it. Try using physical tokens to track how many communions you have left, or marking how many you've used in pen on your character sheet. When a player asks to commune with the river, the GM should ask them to describe how their character does this. For some players, it might be as simple as thinking deeply whilst cooking. For others, it may be as elaborate as putting on special clothing in order to perform a sacred ritual. Once the communion has been described, the GM should shuffle and draw a card from a deck of major arcana, paying particular attention to whether the card is upright or reverse. If what the face of the river is in this location and in the one they are trying to reach, and what path the player's character is on. So there's a lot to take into consideration when you draw this one card. They should then reveal and describe either the blessing or the curse the player has received. Upright cards are blessings, reverse cards are curses. Each of the 20 locations on the river is associated with 20 of the 22 major arcana, with the last 2 constituting the source and the sea. If a player draws the face of the river associated with their location, or the location that they are trying to reach, the GM should take this into account, and again find ways in which to reflect the river's favor on the character in-game. Oh, cool. And then it has some pages of blessing and curses based on tarot cards. You could potentially print these out.
Nice.
I do have one, though. I got these. They're from a video game, so I mean, I'm sure they're the same.
We actually, a few years ago, I do like a big Dungeons and Dragons or tabletop role-playing birthday party where people come over for like 2 days. We play nonstop and eat a bunch of meals.
Yeah.
One of the things we did was a tarot card-inspired campaign where each of us drew a tarot card in the beginning, and that was sort of representative of our character's true intention. And we just sort of used them for inspiration, and that was it. We didn't get any further with it.
Would you like me to draw you one, Gary?
Man, yes. Yes, I would. Let's see what we're working with.
I don't think they have words on them, and I don't know what they look like, so...
You should probably be able to figure them out from the image.
Or touch your face on the screen. Bop. Alright, Gary's card.
Is that Shadow from Sonic the Hedgehog?
I don't know what it is. It has Roman numerals. So let me follow the Roman numerals and see what they are supposed to be.
Follow the trail.
It looks like you have drawn the chariot.
I do like the chariot.
I have drawn the archer. Let's see. The Wheel of Fortune.
Nice.
Come on down! So yeah, the chariot and the Wheel of Fortune. My blessing is I can reverse one death.
My blessing is once a day, I may achieve an automatic success in battle. Yours is pretty cool.
Yeah, reverse one death. So I can bring somebody back. But that's only the blessing. So if we're doing it on the path, so if that's our character's path, whenever I commune with the river, a first mate of the Wheel of Fortune who draws their path may choose to replace the card they have drawn and draw another. Interesting.
Is that what it says under Path Blessing?
Yeah.
Mine says a gunner of the chariot who draws their path can nominate one battle a day in which they cannot miss on attacks for the duration. Dude, that's gangster.
That is cool. Okay, so yeah, there's some of the tarot. We showed you a little bit live of the tarot in play.
There's 2 scoops for you.
Pretty cool. 2 scoops of tarot for your face. 70 years ago. Oh, this is the history of the river. Should we read this?
So,
huh?
I don't think that we should read all of their lore.
I don't think we need to read all the lore.
Nope, I don't think we're gonna read all of their
Here
lore.
Here it is. If you want to take a screenshot, boom, you can read it yourself.
I don't think we're gonna give it to you. I think you have to come in here with your satiated thirst and bite into this lore for yourself.
Yeah, so these describe all the locations. Apparently, so each one, it says underneath a lot of them, at least. Like the Green Path, it says the Emperor is its associated card. So if you draw that while communing on your way there, bonuses. So
a lot of those.
The tarot is just this extra layer of mechanics that adds depth.
A lot of the next things, too, are the locations throughout the game. So if you go upriver or downriver, those are the places you're going to be. So really, as a player, you may not want to look into that stuff. That's really, I wouldn't want to know it, right? The game master is really, that's their meat and potatoes.
There, let me turn off the screen while I pass it by.
Yes. I glanced at it.
It's fine.
But I just don't want to read it all if we ever play it.
Looks like that's most of what's left.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All the way down to the glossary.
Yep.
Well, Jahan, what do you think about Upriver, Downriver? What are your first impressions? We haven't played it. I'm not asking you to tell anybody to go out and buy it, but what are your first impressions here?
So, you're not asking me to, but I would ask you to go click on the Kickstarter. I have the link in the chat. Check it out at the very least. Maybe give them just a supportive $1. If you're not feeling it, get access to that pledge manager, something I like to do a lot. But I think that this is definitely worth looking into. I would like to, let's read, now that we've gone through it, let's read what they say their key elements are, just for, summation. So key elements include drawing tarot cards from major arcana as a core mechanic. At the end of each session, players can choose to commune with the river god and meet one of its many faces. From these communions, players receive powerful permanent blessings and dramatic curses by drawing tarot from the deck. Character playbooks, which each follow one of the 3 paths defined by the major arcana. These paths come with their own unique abilities and dictates, which provide both mechanical advantages and role-playing inspiration. Rules for death and dying, which allow players to play ghosts of your character, unlocking a host of brand new abilities exclusive to the undead. Unique ship mechanics, which are built for team play and combat against both monsters and enemy ships. Each player book enjoys a unique ship battle ability, and there are group maneuvers which require the participation of multiple players to powerful effect. That's cool. I look forward to reading the more in-depth ship rules.
So I think there's really something cool here as a creator also. If you are into this game and you enjoy this as a product, I think there will probably be a community that would play homebrewed stuff, homebrewed adventures, things written out, extra stops along the river. Like, the first thing I wanted to do is start as a group who lives upriver and head downriver. So immediately, you could write another adventure with more locations, and then
a lot of stuff, man. Yeah, you could.
Upriver spots.
I mean, you could just have this river be one river in a world of rivers, or there could be a lot of stuff going on with this.
I think that sort of the whole point, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm getting is that the setting is that it is just one river.
It could be, yeah, that's fine. But I mean, honestly, I feel like attaching this to another world could be fine too.
It would be, especially as like an alternate universe, like the universe that is the river.
See, I feel like maybe like another river that leads to like the underworld or something could be cool.
And then rivers are often a bunch of branching tributaries. So you could have so many rivers off of the river that have all sorts of different flavor and all sorts of different places and locations. This is a cool setting. You can use
this river to bind together the fabric of a multiverse.
Yes, that's exactly right.
You can do whatever you want. Yeah.
It's a cool setting here. I like the setting.
The setting is inspiring. The other thing, so a series of unique locations inspired by the major arcana, each with their own original NPCs and challenges. Players are asked to commit to a direction at the start of their campaign, journeying upriver to the source or to the sea downriver. A game that ends. Upriver is specifically built for short-term campaigns of 4 to 12 sessions. We think stories are better because they end. Your time on the river is short, but that does not mean it is important. Stunning art from a host of artists led by Max Breyer, including Kale Leons and Gio Barnett. And also a distinctly queer role-playing experience from an LGBTQ+ team of trans, disabled, and neurodivergent creatives dedicated to telling queer stories from a place of hope and comfort. So all of those are good things. All of those are important things that we want to support. Indie devs, marginalized communities. So this Kickstarter has a lot that we're very proud to put this in front of people, and we hope that you like it as well. What do you think, Gary? How do you feel about this game?
I didn't know anything going in, and I know that there are a lot of people around the world who want to be into tarot or who claim to be into tarot, and there's like a whole online 40-year-old stay-at-home mom witch movement. And so when I saw a tarot card game, there was part of my heart that was like, boy, I hope this is good. And it exceeds my expectations. It's not at all what I thought it was. This is really cool. I really like what I'm seeing. I thought this was going to just be vomit of tarot influence and tarot inspired crap all over the place. That's what I expected. And what I got is
it seems to have the right level.
Yeah, what I got is this really cool original river-based game where you have these cool adventures where you see these different faces of the river and get boons from them, which change your character, change your game. If you die, you get different spells. You work as an undead. there are cool things going on here that are not at all what I thought they were going to be. Instead, the game shoves in the cards as the major arcana cards as influence, and it adds power to the game. It doesn't take anything away from trying to. It's not just tarot just to be tarot. You know what I mean? It takes the right amount of flavor, I think.
Absolutely. No, I feel the same way. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The tarot also threw me when I first heard about this, but I was interested and ready to give it a chance. And I was not disappointed. This is very cool and an interesting use of an easily acquired resource. Tarot decks are not that hard to come by. That really does add depth to the game.
One of the things I would like to see, which I know why we don't see it, it's a quick start. So I would like to see more of the subclasses, like how the captain, the first mate, the gunner, how they break down with their 3 different paths that they all have. Because from what I understand, there's basically, there's 7 classes, there's 3 subclasses, so in a way there's 21 different builds. And with the quick start, we're looking at 7 different builds. I would love to see what else you can do in this game. Immediately, I think I would want to play the gunner, and especially with the chariot card that I pulled. I could get into this game. I could play this game. I get behind it. I'm ready to get on the river and start blasting folks.
Absolutely. So you heard it here on Fresh Out the Box first. Go check out Upriver, coming soon to Kickstarter. Thank you to G.J. Watts, who sent us all of this amazing stuff in a nice press pack. Original music that you're listening to now even is music for the river.
On the box or on the back of the book, do you think they could print "I'm ready to get on the river and start blasting folks"?
Maybe. Yeah, there you go. You heard it here. Quote from Fresh Out the Box: "I am ready to get on the river and start blasting folks." Gary Avenger, Fresh Out the Box. But yeah, so check it out. We're pleased to present this to you. So support indie devs. And you have anything else, Gary?
Sir, nothing at all.
Alrighty, everybody, thank you so much for watching Fresh Out the Box as we review yet another indie classic in the making. Have yourself a wonderful evening.